Why did the Golden Knights' top five scorers go silent in the five-game series loss to Edmonton? Our opinions next right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone, from Las Vegas, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. I am a longtime sportscaster, a marketing consultant, and the host of the Saturday Sports Beat radio show. You can hear it everywhere on Odyssey from 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. And he, of course, is Chris G., the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports and the collectibles editor for the Hockey News. We are the only daily VGK podcast, and coming up ahead on today's show, of course, we'll talk about VGK's top five scores doing the disappearing act. And then where does VGK go from here? And of course, our weekly feature, WTF, What the Friday. Big day today, Chris. Locker cleanout day. Who speaks, who doesn't, who shows up with injury updates, who shows up with MRI photos, CAT scans, like who knows, man, show and tell day, perhaps. We could expect a lot of talk, especially about the physical series, the past season, and near the top of my list, my biggest question, if I were there, the unsolved mystery. How could VGK's top five scorers, who accounted for 141 goals this season, not put one, not even one goal in net against the Oilers?
Good question. Thought about it last night after we had our conversation about today's show. And, you know, if we knew the answer, Coach Cassidy would tap us to get in the meetings and stuff and pay us a coach's wage, and we would tell him, and the Golden Knights would be advancing to the third round of the NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. I don't have an answer. Coach Cassidy doesn't have an answer. Players don't have an answer. Players are going to tell you what the other team did. And you start with Knobloch, I think, in this series, right? You start with Knobloch. When the forwards, McDavid and Draisaitl, got split up, that really slowed down VGK's scoring. They didn't score a single goal. We all thought there was panic in the air when you saw new players coming in the lineup and everything. And no, it was just it was just a Knobloch spinning the dials. At the end of the day, the Golden Knights were not ready for it. They were not ready for it. Coach Cassidy did not have the proper answer. Again, we're not going to use injuries as an excuse, but we are going to mention the fact that they were without one of those top five scorers the last game of the playoffs. And I think the game before that, Mark Stone, we're talking about, of course. Mark Stone was he was a shadow of himself, I think, for most of the postseason. And then the last couple of games he did play, he was even farther down. He's one of those players you do wonder what you will hear starting with McCrimmon. McCrimmon will be the one to give up most of the injury news. The players, they're all warriors. They're all going to kind of dismiss their injuries and yeah, everyone's hurt this time of year. But then, McCrimmon's going to say Petrangelo's got a fracture in his foot. He's going to say Jack Eichel's shoulder hurts, Karpatsov's shoulder hurts. All these other things that are going to likely come out from McCrimmon as he usually starts these locker cleanout days with his kind of a state of the team. And just really fast, what does happen, in case Golden Knight fans aren't familiar with this process, locker cleanout day starts with the players one by one meeting with Kelly McCrimmon. I don't know if McPhee is involved in these, but definitely Kelly McCrimmon. And it's, hey, how'd the season go? You know, what went well, what could have gone better? And he's going to ask about the coaching staff and the relationship, and if the player feels like they're getting what they need to out of that. And not that Coach Cassidy's job is on the line or anything like that, but these locker cleanout days for other fringe type of playoff teams or teams that had bad seasons, these meetings determine the fates of many NHL coaches. Again, that's not happening here in Vegas right now by any means.
Whoa. This was, again, the day that decided the fate of Pete DeBoer, and one Lars Carlson complaining that he didn't have enough creativity. So, yeah, this is a big day. If somebody doesn't like Cassidy, they're going to go off. And if it's one of those guys that Bill Foley really admires, yeah, you can lose a coach today.
Okay, so curveball. Who is the one player today? And this does tie back into the segments. Who's the one player today that might drag Coach Cassidy?
Great question. Great question. One of the veterans might do it. I don't know. Pietrangelo.
Barbashev, he had a poor playoff. He disappeared.
Yeah, but
he's not that type, I don't think.
Well, Pietrangelo, though, is outspoken, I think.
He is, and Pietrangelo and Coach Cassidy have
maybe Mark Stone
together.
Maybe Mark Stone, if his shot at Sprouts doesn't go well this morning, and his selfie's there in the parking lot. It's a big day. And, I went back and we've been talking about the VGK droughts. Okay, I'm not just making this up. So 2 years ago, obviously, they scored the 9 goals, Stanley Cup final, and the clinching game. Yes, they had a great offensive showing there throughout the playoffs. Last year, 2 of 7 games versus the Stars, Chris, they scored 3 or more goals just twice. 2 goals in game 3, 2 in game 4, 2 in game 5, 2 goals in game 6, 1 goal in game 7. They don't have the clutch performers and the explosiveness of scoring goals in the playoffs. And I'm sorry, but I think that this is reality.
4, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 16 goals in 7 games in that Stars series. 4, 7, 11, 14,
2 goals.
The scoring in that series, Tony, was 16-16. So the reason I'm going to push back on the Stars series as far as scoring droughts disappearing is because that was an even series. The Golden Knights were very in that series. Of course, they came out with a 2-0 lead and then clawed back won a big game 6 where Aiden Hill was magnificent. And then, of course, they lost game 7. And be remiss if we didn't remind everyone that Jonathan Marchessault missed a wide open net that could have changed the fates of that entire. Again, woulda, coulda, shoulda, I get it, but it's worth mentioning. Difference is going to this season. Golden Knights were not as much in this series as we would have liked them to have been. Now, on paper, we're going to say, okay, overtime game could have gone either way. Game number 5, game number 2, the missed call, that's going to come up a lot. But from afar, and this is, I borrowed this from the NHL Network. It wasn't Mick Kern. It was Coolius, I think. Coolius, who's on with the points, was talking about this yesterday as I was driving. And when you look at the way the top scorers of VGK were just absolutely, like you said, disappear. That's a perfect word to use. They disappeared. When you look at the fact that, okay, the Golden Knights, here's another stat. In the last 3 games of the series, they scored when you look at the time that mattered, they got the 1 rate goal of 0.4 seconds left and then nothing after that for 2 games. And the injuries and everything, like we'll talk about where VGK goes from here in the second segment, but people from like in Vegas, we feel okay about things, but when you really try and take a neutral perspective here, I think a lot of people feel the Golden Knights got wiped out in that series against the Oilers. And when you start to peel some layers back, and that's what we're going to do, we've got 3 months to do it now, basically. When we start to peel some layers back, I think we're going to see that maybe this team is a little farther away than we would have hoped. And you did mention fool's gold yesterday in the regular season and what happened in the playoffs. And it's valid. It is. I'm not bashing anyone, but it is valid to point out that it was a good regular season team that did not elevate. Injuries. Now they're a year older, all sorts of things that we're going to dive into a lot harder as it goes on. But again, wrapping it back to this series, the scoring disappeared. There's not an answer besides that Cassidy got outcoached again in the first round. We were remiss if we didn't say that, or second round, pardon me.
Almost in the first round.
Nearly. Almost in the first round, too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. 2 things. I have my voice back, if you can't tell. 2 things that are obsolete in May 2025. Cap friendly and VGK goal scoring by its top 5 scorers. I had to throw that in there. Top 5 goal scorers. Puckpedia is okay.
Puckpedia got on my good side. It took a while.
I miss cap friendly. Okay, so Eichel, the only player of the 5 that might have some sort of an excuse. I've said before in the series that before the series even began, I said he might have to give up some of his offense to play defense. Game number 1, he was skating around in circles because everyone had sort of fresh legs going in there, and he's chasing around everyone.
Or the
there.
Oilers
I'm
didn't have a
just saying.
game plan in game one, that a successful game plan.
Fair. Okay, so when you look at Eichel, 11 shots, that's 2 per game, a -4, 5 assists, 28 goals during the regular season, 2 unselfish. Again, it looks like he's trying to make that perfect pass right across the slot all the time. But I think a turning point was when, let's see, in game number 4, was it, that they put that line together on him that just absolutely started to wear him down.
It was Draisaitl.
Colton,
It was
Draisaitl,
Draisaitl.
Kapanen. That was the 3. And Draisaitl a lot to say there in the media. He was just talking about how he you give up a lot of your offense to play defense at this time of year. So again, okay, to be fair, that is part of the equation, I guess, of a lack of goal scoring here. We're just going to be fair for once. And then, okay, Pavel Dorofeev.
Who?
So Eichel has an excuse. Dorofeev, leading goal scorer, 35 goals. Played the last 3 games of this past series, 9 shots, -5. No, 9 shots, I should say. He had 5 in the elimination game.
Tied for the
And
lead with Draisaitl that game because that was the bet I put out there.
that was the bet. That was a great bet you put out there, by the way. You had some good ones, man.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do that in the playoffs still.
I think I'll keep going with that. I should keep going with that.
Yeah, you had some good stuff there. Tomas Hertl, major disappointment. His performance in this series versus Edmonton, to me, was what I expected out of him during the regular season. Hey, he definitely proved me wrong there. 32 goals, 12 shots. He should have finished 2 or 3 of them. No
Yeah.
points, period. None.
Yeah.
3 goals he had in the Minnesota series. What happened with him? Because he had some looks, but he just couldn't finish.
Looking again, this will be a segment next week, and
On the napkin, in the parking
on the
lot.
napkin, but Hockey Stat Cards came out with the final series comparison. It's basically a composition grade for all the players in the series, all their games where they finished, and 4 players on the top: Bouchard, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman. William Karlsson was the highest rated Golden Knight. Jack Eichel was about number 10. Mark Stone was actually higher than I thought he should have been. Pietrangelo, Smith, Olofsson in the middle. So point being is, yes, Jack Eichel is up there, but I think it's more for his defensive game than anything because he didn't score a lot. And then going way down, there's Tomas Hertl. Dorofeev is way down. Nicholas Waugh, Barbashev. I mean, apparently cross-checking. Getting a major penalty is looked down upon not too highly on Hockey Stat Cards here. So the big guns were far from the big guns, and the depth wasn't there to pick up the big guns. And, maybe part of this is on the depth scoring not getting there, because if the depth scorers aren't doing it, besides the one game where Riley Smith was magnificent and William Karlsson had a great game too, if the depth scoring is doing something, now you have to give more respect to the bottom 6 or bottom 9, even depending on how you view that if you're the Oilers.
What have we been saying, Golick, all along? What have we been saying? You shut down the VGK top line and you win. And
yeah,
you win.
You've been ahead of that, Tony, all season. And those that want to argue that, just go watch any of the 80 something podcasts during the regular season. And
80,
Tony definitely said that a lot, and it was fair. And they didn't shut down the top line; they shut everything down. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
good defense there. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk that the Oilers?
No one had 127 minutes of Stuart Skinner shutout playoff hockey, eliminating the Vegas Golden Knights. And when it mattered in game number 3, no one had a Leon Draisaitl own goal being the decider because Stuart Skinner played the puck the right way, even though everyone doesn't want to acknowledge that.
Okay, here's something else to park. Here's something else to park for next week. Cassidy on thin ice, no doubt. He can't go. He's got to get. It is going to be the conference final or bust next season. Prediction time. There. We'll get into that.
Yeah, save that one. Save that one. Like we have an hour segment on that.
Pocket, bro.
There you go.
Thin ice, Golick. Oh no, bad ice. Bad ice. I'm sorry. Okay,
this is your topic, not mine. I don't think he's on thin ice.
All right. So Ivan Barbashev, no points, -5, 7 shots. He could have finished a couple of those too. 26 goals in the regular season. Again, like they moved him after the first game pretty much around. They started to move him, right? Third line, I don't know what the future holds for Barbashev. We could talk about that. And then Brett Howden, 5 shots on goal, a -3, no goals, no assists. No goals, no assists. Again,
So Howden and Barbashev, let's lump
shoot
them
the
together.
stinking puck. That's what they're going to say today. Why aren't we shooting the puck?
Yeah, and Cassidy did mention they're a pass first team. Maybe that gets looked at next season. That was one of the things talked about in his only presser of the year where he took the tie off. Thanks, Coach Cassidy. You can finally
He did.
relax.
He's ready.
He
He
took the
thinks
tie
he's in
off. He took
South
the
Beach
tie off.
already.
He took the tie off.
He's going to show up with the flip flops today, and he'll be
Hey, why
playing,
not? The season's
some
over.
Jimmy
They should
Buffett
take a load
music
off.
in the
It's
background.
stressful, long season.
South Beach Bruce is ready to go, bro.
Barbashev and Howden, I'm going to lump them together. They can affect the game a couple different ways. Howden more than Barbashev as far as a two-way back checking forward. Barbashev has that in him, but I think Howden is just a little farther along. Howden is used on the PK and stuff more than Barbashev, puts you like that. As far as if they're not scoring goals, they can check well. They can check really, really well. Barbashev did that in the 5th game. He put a couple different players on their behinds. Howden, you didn't see enough of that. You didn't see enough of that kind of rat mentality like Brad Marchand getting under people's skin and everything. So,
or Jamie Benn.
Yeah, so putting a bow on this segment, we don't have an answer why they disappeared, and no one does.
It had better defense, and
okay, fine,
shooting,
but what could have
defense,
been done differently?
Not shooting the puck. Okay, no net front presence. Typically,
maybe not as good.
Okay.
Not as good.
Coming up next,
long segment.
VGK, very long, but we got our point across, I believe. Coming up next, where does VGK go from here? Stay with us right here on Locked On Golden Knights. There is nothing like playoff hockey. Oh, geez, what a time for this. The energy, the rivalries, the nonstop action with the Stanley Cup playoffs heating up. There's never been a better time to go and see it live in Dallas. And Gametime makes you, again, giving you the last-minute ticket deals, zone deals for deep discounts, panoramic seat views, all-in pricing with no hidden fees, plus ticket prices often drop the closer you get to puck drop, so you can score big without overpaying. So a lot of fans mulling around right before the face-off there in game number 5, looking for deals and watching it on TV outside. 2 people out there, I think, probably were watching
There's
it
a few more in game 5, a few more.
Okay. Again, I like my exact seat view, and of course, Gametime fees include up, front, and backs every order with their ticket coverage guarantee. It covers everything from job loss to even offering 24-hour returns. And not just the NHL, but the NFL schedule release was this past week. And speaking of planning ahead, NFL schedule release just dropped. And you better believe that I'm already looking at some of those games for my fall schedule.
Chicago Bears coming to Vegas week 4.
The Bears are coming, and I have so many friends that are Giant fans from back home. I'm a Jet
Send them to
fan.
Gametime.
Yeah, so we'll send them the Gametime. That's what we'll do. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets today with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use that promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Use that redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Gametime. Oh, sorry.
Back on this WTF edition of Locked On Golden Knights. We're going to have to speed up here, colleague. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Thanks so much to the fans tuning in around the world. Thank you so much to our
2,000 YouTube followers. Benchmark, by the way. 2,000 YouTube followers.
We finally got there, man. We were really slow there for a minute. Congrats to everyone for helping us out there. And, of course, all the fans in Edmonton, thank you so much. And just... you guys don't have to go back and forth on my ex and just screaming at each other. The series is over.
Mine too. I mean, whatever.
Oilers won. So don't tell me today that Kelly McCrimmon, I already have the narrative because I'm the thumb. That's me. I'm the thumb. Kelly McCrimmon, I think, comes out and he's going to say, well, we're going to have more time to, the eyebrows don't move, by the way. I can't do that. We're going to have more time to prepare for next season because the offseason, it's a lot longer now due to the second round departure. If there are excuses today on locker room cleanout day, I think we're going to hear a lot about injuries, right? Ding! On Family Feud number 1. Four Nations face-off. Ding! Will he actually admit today,
Nope.
that they should have been active at the NHL trade deadline?
I was
What do
shaking
you
my
think I
head
was
no
gonna
about
say?
him dragging the Four Nations because they were so high on Aiden Hill getting in there.
Well, Canada, of course. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Canada.
Well, your
That's all they
question
cared
was
about.
what again?
I don't
The
know.
last
I
one?
just threw a bunch of stuff at you, whatever. But what's he going to say about this team and moving forward? That's it.
Yeah, I mean, so again, we scraped the surface of this earlier. Each player will meet with McCrimmon today, talk about how they felt about the season, what went well, what could have gone better, yada yada yada. As far as what might come out of the day today, it's going to be injury talk. I think that's important, and I would like to know the specific-ish ailments that some of the Golden Knights are facing, and you're going to hear probably some surgeries lined up and things like that. And yeah, as far as where VGK goes from here, obviously, the next couple weeks are pretty sensitive because this is when you start looking at the players who are free agents. Saad, Olofsson, Riley Smith, just to start with a couple, Samsonov. And this is about the time, the players might come out and say, yeah, I've been told by the Golden Knights. And they say this so they can announce their upcoming free agency more than anything.
Sure.
But it's unlikely I'm staying in Vegas, whatever. It's unlikely VGK is going to make a contract offer. So that's kind of the first thing we're going to watch for after today's locker cleanout day. Next thing then are the trades. There will be trades popping. Remember, Logan Thompson's deal happened right before the draft. Trades will start happening, possibly some VGK trades. And this is really going to kind of, like if a Zach Whitecloud gets traded, someone with a little bit of salary and a little bit of term, if some players like that get moved, now you wonder if VGK is lining up for. There's not a lot of big fish out there. Of course, Mitch Marner is probably the biggest one. Whether he's the best option or not, that's another discussion.
He's probably going to the Kings.
What's that?
He's probably going to the Kings.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, we'll see how things
chatter,
play
a lot
out.
of chatter.
VGK will start identifying their needs and stuff. Again, this is stuff that'll come from McCrimmon. As far as where the team is going to go from here, it was, again, coming into the season, we felt that we're talking a middling team, gets in the playoffs comfortably. Maybe a move is made at the deadline. Maybe they make a run. Maybe they don't. Obviously, they didn't.
We said one or two series.
Right, yeah, but my point is, with the salary constraints, with this aging roster, again, I'm not knocking, we're just simply talking reality.
It is an aging roster. That's a big topic, Parkett.
Can McCrimmon ice a better roster, not just on paper, but a better and buzzword ding sustainable roster?
With
what's these
the
aging
over
vets?
under on sustainability quotes today?
I don't think it's brought up a lot
If
because I don't know if there was
if they had a sustainable
situation.
Okay, so I was just thinking here. Of course, he's got to admit that they should have done more at the deadline. And
what more could they have done? I mean, I know we're going to go long. There's nothing more with the salary constraints.
Set up questions. This is like a White House presser because, for crying out loud,
yes and no.
They have the planted questions. You're not in the room, Golick.
No, but you're not going to listen. Ken from Sinbin has no plants. Jesse's not going to plant. Yes, the VGK media people, when they're asking questions, yes, it's with a purpose, and that's fine.
Okay. Hear me out here. So if Edmonton now is the benchmark, because if they don't have injuries and what have you, they might have contenders.
They're the class of the Pacific right now.
Exactly. If they're the benchmark in the division, I think, because, okay, let's say the AFC West, everyone has to try to match the Chiefs and a lot of teams, of course, in the AFC and around the NFL now. That's the benchmark, okay? That's the standard. You need to now start building with speed and with a lot of players that can be physical, players that have great skill. If that is the benchmark team, you need to copy them. Of course, every league anymore is a copycat league. And this is what they need to do. I think they need to build this for speed moving forward.
Yes, I am with you. We talked about copycat, and we'll put a bow on this. We're getting long, but we talked about copycat when they won the Stanley Cup, and that was a heavy team. that had speed, but it was a heavy team that had speed. Now it's more of a speed league, so you wonder about the finesse side. And I will certainly admit that the Golden Knights, again, Ryan Reeves, no, he's probably retiring after this. Forget Ryan Reeves, but they need that. They need that Evander Kane. They need that Tom Wilson. I know Tom Wilson and Evander Kane are unique individuals because of their physicality and ability to score 20-plus goals, but they need that 15-goal score that players plan for, and it's not Keegan Colasar. It's not. I'm not sorry. It's not Keegan Colasar. Colasar is great at what his role is, but there's not a team that's in the locker room. Okay, Colasar at 55, keep an eye out when he's out there. No, that's not the case. Golden Knights need to find a gem, a diamond in the rough that's going to cost less than $2 million AAV that other teams are going to watch out for, but it's still a contributor on the offensive side of the Golden Knights and not a liability like Ryan Reeves.
Coming up next, it is WTF time. WTF, another long segment. Back with more right after this on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back, Cotter. How did Paul Cotter?
Welcome back either.
Yeah. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. And again, in that last segment, we're talking about moving forward. So my first WTF is like, yeah, great roster. Like this guy, McCrimmon. The eyebrows don't move. You adore the guy, but okay, once again, Alex Holtz. Cole Schwint. Come on. Ilya Samsonov either.
Samsonov had pockets. He was okay.
He had pockets.
He was okay.
They were picking him a lot, but yeah. Again, like there's
Holtz is 22 years old. Give him time.
Okay, give him time.
Schwint is a lottery ticket. Keep going. I'll push back on you.
Complimentary players. WTF. WTF. Gonna miss Chris and I being in the headlines in Edmonton. Definitely. So much for the ink, David Staples.
Oh, David Staples, you're fun. We appreciate you, man.
The guy's
he's a bigger homer than anyone I've ever seen, but I love the guy. He's fun.
Oh, they used my Game 4 headline, beaten to a pulp. That was a fun series for sure. WTF, the Pope making an appearance here. WTF, people blaming me for the Edmonton loss because I picked the Oilers. I had some people screaming the 32-year-old intern, whatever. WTF, I was spot on in the series about, Edmonton there, depth scoring, rolling 4 lines. Come on, Golick, give me my kudos, my flowers.
Yeah, no, Edmonton was better everywhere.
What is the over-under on a WTF note? On locker room injury updates, I'm going to say 3 and a hook.
Over
3 and a hook.
Okay, well, over. Okay. 3.5 might be the number they disclose. There's probably about 12.
Okay, and then one final note. I was looking for a Draisaitl quote. Draisaitl and Eichel. Check Eichel versus trying to score. I can put my own stats on the back burner for a couple of months if that means that we're going to be the last team standing. WTF.
That's good. Just a reminder, Golden Knight fans, that we've seen 2 Stanley Cups awarded on T-Mobile Ice. Of course, one to the Vegas Golden Knights. We've seen 2 other trips to the conference final. There's going to be a 4th Pacific Division banner hanging when we come back to T-Mobile Arena for the first regular season game early October this season. Competitive teams 7 of 8 years, possibly 8 of 8 years. If it wasn't for all the massive injuries, the Robin Lehner led Vegas Golden Knights in season 5 phase. So, just kind of back to a tweet that I put out there, just how fortunate we are to be watching hockey when it's warm outside. I'm not saying like warm, like 50 degrees like it is in the other markets, like 85 degrees coming to T-Mobile Arena in shorts and flip-flops and a Golden Knights jersey. This is just a reminder, we're lucky for what we have in the Vegas Golden Knights, and not that I love to keep, crapping on the Buffalo Sabres, but it's been about 15 years or something like that for them since 2010, I think, when they hosted a playoff game, and now they're going to hire Lou Lamoriello, looks like, to be their GM, so it might be another 10 years before that happens again. And there's many other franchises that would switch positions in a heartbeat with the Vegas Golden Knights, at least from success. So this season didn't end the way anyone wanted it to. Maybe not the way maybe the way some expected it to, but not the way anyone wanted it to. The arch rival Edmonton Oilers skated off T-Mobile Arena ice as the Golden Knights slewed the fans one last time, and so be it. That's just how it's going to go. There's only 4 teams. This is a George McPhee quote. Actually, George McPhee took it from someone else, but just when you stop and
he's
think,
a made man.
Only 4 teams advance 2 rounds in the playoffs. That alone just tells you how difficult it is to get to lifting a Stanley Cup. And there's 31 teams that go back to the drawing board every year. Just one team has the glory, if you will, of raising the cup. But what we know is the Golden Knights will be a competitor next year and probably the next 2 or 3 years after that. And we're fortunate that there's an owner in this town that does not believe in rebuilds. And how that's going to play out, a decade, a half decade from now, we'll deal with that then. But for now, we do know that at least somewhere into 2028, 29, this will be a competitive roster, and take that for granted. Yeah, it sucks when the team is knocked out, but take that for granted. So positive WTF is my only one for today.
Okay. WTFs across the board. MAC and V feasted on the bottom dwellers all year, as they should. Came up short against top teams too often.
Soft schedule, Tony. There you go. How about, take your flowers on the soft schedule.
Rigged schedules, more like it. WTF from Flanman 718. Team needs to boost endurance in the offseason. This looked gas because the opponent is fast, isn't acceptable for supposed cup-ready team. Also, stop skating around the net and shoot the puck more, for crying out loud. WTF. Chuck Dickerson, I thought we had difficulty scoring because we were constantly trying to get back to Help Hill, the best in the Pacific Ocean. Our defensemen were retreating much sooner than usual. Our forwards were trying to block shots instead of looking to break out the puck. WTF. WTF. We'll get into this next week. Our good friend Christina Walters asked, name the 2 favorite goalies to back up Aiden Hill next season.
That was good. I like that.
We'll get to that next week, because I think, I like that question. And does Eichel get extended July 1st, and for how much? Great questions, and I want to take more time with that. So we'll put
those are great questions, and we got plenty of time to address that.
We don't have a mailbag here, so we'll just park it. We don't.
We might need to, depending on what's said today, record another weekend show.
No mailbags.
Recording our weekend show, reacting to the.
Yeah. We did talk about a weekend show.
And me and Chris will be on tomorrow too. So we'll have plenty of content coming up. We might have 7 days of content in the off season. How about that?
Oh, geez. Okay. WTF happened to VGK's ability to score goals, any goals. That is from our good friend Monica.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's just so many. WTF. Eron said, I didn't see a 110-point division-winning third best team in the league when the season started. The playoffs were certainly a letdown, but it's hard to win, and there's only one team who ends their season with a W. Now we wait till next year.
We need more Steve Pops, D-Runs. Need more Steve Pops type players on defense.
WTF, Jeremy Brennan. The biggest is WTF is that picture of Chris G.
All right, let me explain.
Go ahead. He said, "You're killing me, Smalls."
Yeah. And someone said they're never watching the show again, so whatever.
They did.
Listen, short version. All right, I have a camera right in front of me. You guys can see. Hi. And then this stupid mouse right here, it's Bluetooth, and for whatever reason, it wouldn't communicate to my computer when I was running my Whatnot show, selling my hockey breaks and everything. So I got one of these real expensive, like $3,000 gaming towers down here, but it doesn't have enough inputs for the USBs. I had to plug in a USB mouse, which meant losing my facial camera that I have for my show. So in place of that, I asked Chat GPT. I said, and I did say, draw me a picture. I did concede. I did ask for the Oilers logo. I might have lied about that. So give me a foam finger and an Edmonton Oilers and make me smile. And that was the picture I put in its place, because everyone knows I'm a big Golden Knights fan. So we were having fun with it. And if that upset Golden Knight fans, just take a joke. Relax, guys. Relax. I know we're sensitive right now, but there was no ill intent by any means besides having some fun with my Whatnot buyers. And then, of course, I put on Twitter, and of course, Tony borrows it for WTF. So there we go.
It wasn't me. It was the intern.
The interns, yeah.
We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our good fans everywhere outside of the Vegas, everywhere outside of the Vegas area. It's great to have my voice semi back here. Of course, tomorrow the Chris Times Chris Jr. show, and we might have a special edition. I think we will. Depends on how many of those MRI photos they show there, show and tell day, at locker clean out and all that, and then Chris will be ready to paint the ice again and all that. We appreciate everyone.
That's such a fun event. The email hasn't come yet, but that's such a fun event. I love it.
From a man, Chris Golick, I am Tony Cardasco. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you real soon right here on Locked On Golden Knights, and please take care.